So first things first, I'm overall going to be talking about aromatherapy for emotional wellness. I pretty much, for the most part, there's a lot of different brands of essential oils out there. So just my little disclaimer, I have a couple disclaimers before we get rolling with our information. So first and foremost, um, again, just coming from a healthcare background, I just want to put it out there that the information that I provide this evening is for educational purposes only. Again, we don't want to replace medical care or use oils to replace going to see your doctor or your provider. So again, this is just for informational purposes only, to help support you in your wellness. Also, one other thing is, I lost my train of thought for a second there. Again, I like to share the information, and again, it's mostly for educational purposes and for sharing. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to write them in the chat box. No worries. So again, we're going to be talking about aromatherapy for emotional wellness. And I just remembered what my other little disclaimer was. Sometimes I get so wrapped up in a conversation that I forget what I was going to say. So the oils I'm going to be using tonight are going to be from Young Living. I don't know if who's familiar with Young Living, but I do use Young Living essential oils. And also, when I did my raindrop certification, those were the types of oils that I used to train with. So they're very therapeutic oils. Again, I'm just here this evening to just share information. But if you are interested in, an oil or any thoughts about trying something, just let me know, and I can connect with you about that. But again, I like to use Young Living oils, but for the most part, you can go to places, health food stores. One of my favorite places is Down to Earth Whole Foods. They have some assortments of essential oils. I believe Wegmans does as well. So pretty much you can use any essential oil single, that you can get from the store. Some of the oils that I'm going to be presenting tonight are blends or specific blends that are sold through Young Living. But the singles like lavender, cypress, you can always purchase them, from a health food store, things like that. First things first. So I want to get started with talking about oils in general. So oils have been used for many, many years, thousands of years actually, and they've been used to support the mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being of people. As you know, in ancient times, oils were very sacred. They were used for rituals, for blessings, for healing, okay? Just like, I'm talking about tonight for healing. And they can be used in many different ways. So a couple different ways that they can be used is aromatically. So what I mean by aromatic is they can be inhaled. So I don't know if everyone's familiar with diffusers, but you can get a diffuser anywhere. You can get one at Wegmans or at a Whole Food store or a health food store. You can pretty much get them anywhere, even Amazon. So you can diffuse oils through what we call a diffuser. And they have many, many different kinds. The one that I use is something that uses an ultrasonic plate. So the diffuser that I use that has the ultrasonic plates, you fill with a little bit of water, and then you put your oils inside a little container with the water. And then when you turn it on, the ultrasonic plate vibrates so that it disperses the particles into the air so you can smell them or inhale them. Another way you can inhale oils is if you take a tissue and you put maybe a drop or two of an oil or essential oil on there, on the tissue, you can smell it that way. You just bring the tissue up to your nose and you can inhale the oil in that way. So another way that you can use oils is topically, so applying them to your skin. So one rule of thumb that I like to share with people when I talk about applying oils to the skin is, you know, if you have sensitive skin, or if some oils can be warm or create warmth to the skin, or they're considered hot oils, it's always good to use something like a carrier oil. So something I have here, so some examples of carrier oils could be something like coconut oil, which I have here in this little jar. V6 is also a brand, type of oil that is sold through Young Living. It has 6 different nut oils, and that's that right here. But you can use anything. You can use jojoba. You can even sometimes put a drop or 2 of oil in maybe a lotion, like a very basic lotion, like a shea butter lotion, or something basic that does not have already any scent to it. You can do that as well. One thing I like to mention, especially when it comes to oils that have citrus or things like orange or citrus oils in the blends, is being careful when you go outside. So if there is an oil that has a citrus component to it, it's best that you don't go outside afterwards, because what happens is the chemical or the oil reacts to the light, the sunlight, and it might create a little bit of a rash on your body. So anytime that you use an oil that could be warming to the skin, or if you have sensitive skin, or anything that contains citrus, it's usually good to put a drop or 2 of carrier oil, whether it be jojoba oil, coconut oil, or even this little bit of V6. And when I say carrier oil, a little bit goes a long way. You don't need very, very much, but you just want to make sure you have enough so that you can dilute down the essential oil. Okay. And also another way that you can use oils is through taking them by mouth or ingesting them. So again, my little disclaimer again, before you try to use an oil for consumption, or if you are on any form of medications, it's always important to consult with your doctor just to be sure that there's not going to be any sort of interactions, especially if you decide to take them by mouth. But the oils here that I'm going to be presenting this evening, really you can't take by mouth. It's more for aromatic purposes and healing purposes. So like I mentioned before, oils have been used for ages in healing practices. And especially it's helpful when it comes to healing, emotional healing. And I know this for a fact because one of the oils that I'll be presenting this evening is called Cyprus. I think that's the first one that I'll be presenting. That has been very helpful, especially to me in my life when I lost my dad. So Cyprus is going to be an oil that I will be talking about in a little bit, and it's been known to help with many different things, grief, trauma, anxiety, and it helps promote a sense of grounding and peace. So that oil I'll talk a little bit more about in just a bit. So what I'm going to talk about here is how oils support emotional wellness. The scent, and what I like to share fun facts. So when it comes to using oils to help heal from loss, the brain has a lot to do with how the emotions heal from that loss, especially when it comes to the sense of smell. So when you smell an oil, for example, I have this little bottle of lavender here. When you smell an oil, it goes through the receptors in your nose, and it goes up to your brain, to the part of the brain called the limbic system. Okay, so the limbic system is its main um, thing is to help with emotions, and sometimes it also helps with memory as well. So for example, if you smell, I don't know, cinnamon. So let's say you opened up some cinnamon oil and you smelled it and it brought up memories of, let's say, your grandma's cinnamon rolls. Okay, so it's the limbic system that's working there to create those memories through the smell. So that's how the oils work, and it also helps to heal as well. So for example, lavender, and I'll talk about lavender in just a little bit. So lavender is very helpful when it comes to calming and releasing, especially from our heart energy center. So sometimes when people maybe are experiencing loss and sadness, if they smell lavender, it'll help to calm and soothe, especially the heart energy center. So yeah, so the sense of smell, our ability to have that sense, and the brain, how it connects and heals us through smells, is pretty amazing. And this is why also I support use of essential oils through the healing process, because it really helps to bring about calm, peace, and more uplifting energy to that region of the brain. So, and as you know, the brain is our master organ and helps us with a lot of different things, a lot of body functions and things. So, if we have these oils in our lives, it could really help us, help us mentally, physically, and emotionally when we smell them, especially when you have a combination of certain oils together, or maybe even a single oil by itself. So the oils, I'm going to get into the oils in a few short moments, but it's interesting because the oils that I'm going to be talking about now, they help to create a positive emotional state and an environment of peace, or a sense of peace within yourself, especially if you're going through a loss or a very difficult time. So I'll be starting off with Cyprus. So Cyprus, and I wish they had, Zoom had smell-o-vision, because then I would love for everyone to smell what these oils smell like. But anyway, Cyprus is actually very good for healing and for grief and loss. Okay, it supports the release of emotions, especially when it comes to anxiety, trauma, grief. And especially helps us to release those emotions from our spiritual body. Okay, so our energetic body. So we as people have energy around us, and sometimes other people's energies are from things or things that happen in our lives. It collects on our energy, I guess you can say, energy bubble. And sometimes certain oils will help you to release any negativity, any sorts of difficult feelings, so that you can have a more, or can support an overall sense of well-being. So Cypress is one of those oils that does that. And I have the bottle here. And one thing I love about Cypress is it does help with the grieving process, especially getting through those difficult times when you're really feeling a loss for someone. It also promotes physical, mental, and spiritual grounding, and it has a very calming effect. So as I mentioned, I am certified in raindrop technique. And actually, this is one of the oils that we use to help a person release any sort of emotion or any negative emotion that might be difficult for them to process. This oil has a very herbaceous smell, but it's very nice and it's very grounding. So yeah, so this one is Cypress. And next up, I'm going to be talking about lavender. And as they say, lavender is the Swiss Army knife of essential oils, because pretty much lavender takes care of most things. But it also helps with our heart energy center. So if for those who are familiar with chakras, they're the energy centers of our body, and we have 7. And we have one over our heart, And when we experience grief or loss, that heart energy center can be affected. It could bring us low energy, or it could have its own low energy. So one way we could help our heart chakras and help it release any grief or sorrow or sadness is by smelling some lavender. So this is lavender here, this little purple bottle. If you've ever smelled lavender before, you know, it has a very nice scent to it, a little bit herbally, but very nice and relaxing and calming. So one thing I like to do, and this is one of my favorite things to do, is you know, put a drop or two of lavender oil on a tissue, especially if you're feeling anxious or maybe feeling sad, or you need that little bit of a lift. I like to put a drop or two on a tissue and just inhale it from the tissue. One other combination that I like to use with lavender is orange. So I remember when my dad was first diagnosed with cancer, I had some, you know, times where I was feeling down. And when I went to my oils, you know, of course, what I like to do is smell them, because your body knows what it needs. Your body is very intuitive and it knows what it needs. So I smelled the lavender and I thought, you know, I need something a little bit to lift my brain, to lift the fog from feeling sad and down. So I got some orange, so I mixed the two, and it gives you a nice calming effect, but also an uplifting effect if you're feeling a little down, a little sad. Because orange actually reminds me of when I was a little kid. I would smell an orange and I would smile. So orange oil and lavender are usually a good combination to help lift the mood. So the next oil I'll be talking about is something called Release. Is this little bottle here. This actually is a very nice oil. It has a little bit of a flowery scent because it has geranium in it. And geranium is also very helpful for lifting the heart energy center, especially if someone is dealing with a loss or with some grief. Geranium is very good for lifting the heart and lifting sadness and things like that. So basically with Release, it promotes a calming, uplifting effect. It helps with bringing about a sense of peace and emotional well-being. This oil, the reason why it's called Release is because it helps us to release any sort of anger or frustration, so that it can promote harmony and balance in the mind and body. It's a very nice smelling oil. And usually when I diffuse it, I like to diffuse this because if putting it in a tissue may be a little bit strong, but when I do diffuse it in my diffuser, I usually put like 1 drop because of the geranium. The geranium is very prominent in this oil, but it's also good that it's prominent because it could be very helpful in releasing you know, negative emotions or even feelings of anger or frustration, so that you can have some more peace and balance in your life. So I usually like to just put a drop in my diffuser whenever I'm feeling feelings of anger or any sort of negative emotion I need to release, just release out from my energetic body, my emotional body, mental body, etc. I usually like to put a drop in my diffusers and diffuse it through my home so that I can have more balance and harmony and sense of peace and calm during the day. So that's Release. Another favorite blend of mine is something called Joy. So this is a little bottle of Joy. I have a little roller top on it, but this one is very nice because it has different oils in it that helps to lift the heart. So some of the oils in here are, let's see if I can see it here. Usually they'll tell you on the side. Let me see if I can open the label. But Joy is very nice because it has a combination of different oils to help lift the heart, lift the mood. especially if you're feeling, again, feelings of sadness or feeling down. Joy is always very helpful, and hence the name joy. Okay, so it helps to bring you some joy to your heart. Okay, and some of the oils that are in here are bergamot oil, which makes sense because bergamot is an oil that helps with, you know, depression or feelings of depression or feeling down. So those are usually, bergamot is very helpful, and that's in joy. We also have some ylang ylang, which is also very helpful in the healing of grief and loss. And we have a couple different oils here. We have lemon peel, we have coriander as well. So we have a nice combination of oils in this joy joy blend. So we also have tangerine. So again, it really, my favorite, well, these are one of my favorite, I have many favorite oils. So, but this is one of my favorites. If I'm having a really bad day and I'm feeling down, I always like to put some joy on because it helps to lift my mood. So this one is joy, and it certainly does bring joy to my life, you know, when I'm feeling a little down in the dumps. So, or maybe having a rough day. So definitely joy is one of my go-tos. All right, so our next oil coming up is called acceptance. And acceptance is a very nice oil. It has a very nice smell to it, very uplifting smell. And it's another type of oil blend that is made by Young Living that promotes feelings of acceptance of ourselves and of others. So acceptance of any difficult feelings, any emotions that might come up, because sometimes, you know, depending on the person, some feelings might be very difficult for them. So this oil acceptance is very helpful in a person maybe accepting difficult emotions, or even maybe processing difficult emotions. Again, this is why I find oils to be such a blessing, is because it helps us flow through, you know, difficult feelings, difficult emotions. Acceptance also helps with dealing with change and the stress that often comes with it. Okay, because as we all know, change can be very difficult sometimes. And, you know, we need some things, you know, to support us through this change in our lives. And to help us, you know, take each day, one day at a time, one breath at a time. So acceptance is a very nice oil. And I can see here, I can lift the label, and I can tell you a couple different oils that are in this blend. So acceptance has, let's see, coriander seed, geranium, bergamot, and frankincense. Let's see, frankincense? Yes, frankincense. And actually, frankincense is one of my other favorite oils, very good for meditation. So acceptance is actually very nice, very light, not too heavy. So this, again, is also a good oil, you know, for times of experiencing change, and also being accepting and working through and processing for, you know, difficult emotions and things like that. And last oil I'm going to be talking about is something called Valor. Okay, now I have this here in a roll-on format, but it also does come in like one of these little teeny tiny bottles here. So there's different formulations of the Valor essential oil, but it's very, very nice because it contains blue tansy. And blue tansy is also another healing oil. And I believe Valor has black spruce, camphor, blue tansy, frankincense, which is another, as you know, my favorite, one of my favorites. and geranium flower. And again, the geranium is also good for healing, healing of the heart, especially, you know, when going through loss or releasing difficult emotions. Geranium is perfect. And as you know, geranium is also found in the release oil, like I just mentioned before. But Valor is a very nice oil because it helps inspire confidence and courage, especially when it comes to coping with, you know, grief and loss. So I know when, again, my father passed away about a year ago, and we buried him in his home country. And I remember bringing this oil with me because, you know, I knew this was going to be the final place where he was going to be for, you know, where he, he was going to be buried. So you know, it was a very hard thing to realize. So I took my Valor with me, and it was a very, I'm glad I did. And I'm glad the airlines didn't confiscate this, you know, because I would have been, you know, lost without my oil. But it really helped me get through that process, that healing time, and being there for my family. You know, my cousins, I have a lot of cousins in my father's home country. So it was nice that I was able to do that. And Valor really helped me, you know, be able to be there for others, but also be there for myself. Because again, you know, it was a very difficult time. And, you know, it's nice to have that Valor to help give me the courage to get through this difficult time and, you know, saying goodbye to my dad. Valor is very nice because it supports emotional well-being, especially when it comes to working through very difficult emotions. So, and actually Valor is also another oil that we use for the raindrop technique. So this is very nice. It's a nice smelling oil. If I had to describe it, I would say it has like a light, herbally, flowery type scent, nothing too overpowering. But you know, it is a very helpful oil to give you courage, to give you confidence, to get through, you know, difficult emotions, or even during difficult times, you know, times of grief and loss. So this can be a very, very helpful oil. So those are the oils that I have for this evening. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go to our questions and see what is in our chat box. So I know we have a couple of questions that came up. Okay. So first question is do I sell Young Living? So yes, I do. I do sell Young Living. I am a distributor. So if you are ever interested, you can certainly let me know. If you're interested in oil, or, you know, one way or another, maybe help you smell it in some way. I know right now we're socially distancing. So, but, you know, if you ever are interested in oil, I can certainly talk to you more about it. And I can help you get connected and get you the oil that you need. And that's one thing that I love about having access to these oils, is sharing it with other people. That's one thing that I truly enjoy, especially if it's going to support someone's wellness. That's something that I truly love sharing with everyone. So if you're interested, you can always connect with me. At the end, I can give you my email address. I can give you my contact information if ever you want to get a hold of me and you need an essential oil, or you were just curious about an oil and want to learn more about it. So I can certainly do that. But yes, I do sell Young Living oil. So if you're interested in anything Young Living oil related, just let me know. So raindrop technique is a very exciting technique, and I'm so blessed to have learned this technique through my friend Janice. So basically what it is, and I'll tell you a little story. So when my friend Janice invited me to have a raindrop, or we call it the raindrop, but it's called a raindrop technique session. We just call it raindrop for short. After my first one, I was just hooked. I was like, I need to learn this because I realized how healing it was. So basically, to put it in a nutshell, the raindrop technique uses 9 different essential oils to help support a person's overall well-being, and physical, mental, spiritual, emotional well-being. So it uses 9 different oils, and I'll tell you what those oils are. So we have our Valor, which I just showed you before, oregano, thyme, basil, cypress, wintergreen, marjoram, aroma seeds, and sometimes I like to add copaiba, which is another type of oil that helps with inflammation and pain. I like to add that into the mix. So we have our aroma seeds / copaiba, and then we have peppermint. And basically the way it goes is with a full raindrop, the oils are first applied to the feet. So we do have meridians along the arches of our feet, which connect to the spine. So each of those oils are put on along the arches of the feet. And then once both feet are all set, we have the person come onto their belly so we can put the oils on their back. And again, this has a lot of great benefits. You can Google raindrop technique and it could tell you the many, many great benefits, and how it supports people's wellness, the wellness of people. There's also, the technique was developed by Gary Young, and he was the founder of Young Living Oils. He learned this technique through a Native American tribe. And he shared it with others while he was alive. And my friend Janice had taken a couple of sessions with him in the training, and she's carried on her training onto me. So so basically the raindrop technique is the application of oils to the feet and along the spine to help support someone's overall wellness. Some of the benefits also include, improved mood, emotional well-being, and also supports the immune system. So again, with helping with our immune system, these oils can be very, very beneficial. All right. So yes, and I can certainly share information on my Yoga for Cancer classes that I do every Saturday. Actually, I have a second location up in Green. Another friend of mine owns a yoga studio called Universal Prana. And before we went on the, staying at home mode, quote unquote, I had my first class on March 15th at her studio. So now I'm offering until the studios reopen, I am offering those 2 classes, one on Saturday over at Organic Yoga in Vestal. So it's right above Camp High. It's 12 o'clock on Saturdays. And it's free to cancer survivors and those going through treatment. I also like to be very inclusive of the group. So if someone is not able to get on a mat, we offer chairs and we get everybody together and we do yoga. So and Sundays, until when the studios reopen, I will be offering back again on Sundays at 12 over up in Green at Universal Prana. Yoga for Cancer for the folks up there. So, and when I started the second class, it made sense to do it because some folks have to drive to town just to get to do their treatments. And I thought, well, I wouldn't want someone to, have to travel when they're going through treatments. So it made sense to bring a class up there to the location in Green. So once we get back on track with everything in the community, I will have classes and they're free, absolutely free. There's no cost and props are provided, mats, other props are provided at no cost in case someone doesn't have a mat or any of the things that, someone may need to do yoga. So we offer that at no cost. And yeah, so that's my class, and it's nice because we're a great group. And now actually, I've combined the groups since now all the yoga classes have gone online. I now do both classes on Saturday, so I invite my green group and my organic yoga group to come together, and we do yoga online through Zoom on Saturdays at 12. So if you're interested, I can always share the link with you. That's totally no problem. But it's nice because the group gets to know one another, and it is just very nice. It's a very nice thing to do. And you know, I'm very supportive of, you know, mental health, mental wellness, and physical health, especially now that, you know, we have to be inside more often. It's nice because, you know, those going through treatment, and again, this is also open, the classes are open to survivors, and I also encourage friends and family of people going through treatment and survivors to come join us. So others are more than welcome to come, you know, those who support their loved one or their friend or family member. But it's nice to provide this service for people who, you know, are going through treatment and have to be very, very careful about going outside. So it's nice because I help them keep them safe, you know, and, you know, give them some peace in their day. So that makes my heart happy. And yeah, so that's information about my yoga for cancer classes. And I actually do have a Facebook page. So what I'll do is when I end or before I end the seminar this evening, I will send you the links to my Facebook page, where I also post my yoga schedule, right now, my online yoga schedule, until the studios reopen. But even when we go back to the studios, I still post just so that everybody knows if someone's interested, you know, they can most certainly join us at any time they want. And also I post very inspirational posts as well. So I like to send out positive energy, especially when we're going through a very uncertain time. I like to send out those positive vibes. But I will put my Facebook page link right in the chat box before we end the workshop this evening. So yes, I'll give you that information, no problem at all. So yeah, so that's the oils workshop for this evening. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you have any other questions for me, please feel free to reach out to me. I will put my information, my contact information in the chat box so that you can reach out to me if you have any questions or want to get a hold of me. And yeah, so thank you very much everyone for coming this evening. And I hope you enjoyed and got a lot of great information about oils and how they can help you heal.